my life has been led. So here I am. But I am here. It is me. I wish, and maybe you're getting a break tonight. I mean, look at my mug.
He's actually calling from the Undertaker's coffin. So that might be
Yeah, I'm
fantastic.
Yeah, I've been close to that coffin, but I haven't been in it. So
it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Well, we could hear you loud and clear, so that's the most important thing. So,
Beautiful.
just for everybody that's watching right now, and this is being recorded, so it'll go on our YouTube channel as well. Jim and Seth are going to talk for about 35-ish minutes. So there is a way for you to participate tonight if you're on Facebook and you're live with us. In the comment section, go ahead and put your questions in there. We won't be doing those live, but I'll be bringing those into the gentleman at about that 35-40 minute mark. If you have any questions, I'll bring those in at that time. I will also be putting Jim's book into the comment section. You can easily click on that. For those of you who aren't familiar with Warwick's, we are located in La Jolla, San Diego, California. If you're in the San Diego area, we would love for you to come by and shop with us, but easy to get, like I like to say all the time, any way there is to get a book, you can get it from Warwick. So click on that link and order Jim's book. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you two gentlemen, and then the show is yours. Jim Ross has been involved in professional wrestling for more than 40 years, elected into the WWE, NWA, and National Wrestling Halls of Fame. Jim is also a New York Times bestselling author, a barbecue guru, and the co-host of his own podcast, Grilling JR. He is the weekly voice of All Elite Wrestling, Dynamite, shown on TNT in the United States, TSN in Canada, and ITV and FITE in the United Kingdom. In addition to Under the Black Hat, he is the author of Slobber Knocker, My Life in Wrestling, and 2 cookbooks, JR's Cookbook and Can You Take the Hat? The Heat. The hat. I got the hat under my... So they're here today to talk about Under the Black Hat, which is recently out in paperback. So with him today is Seth Combs. Seth has written about music, arts, culture, and nightlife for publications such as Spin, The Hollywood Reporter, Zagat's, and Photos. Best known as the former critic and editor of San Diego City Beat, he is currently an arts writer and columnist for the San Diego Union Tribune. He has been a lifelong wrestling fan, but remains torn over the Ultimate Warrior defeating Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that was a tough one, man. That was a tough one.
You can find his work at the San Diego Union Tribune. Welcome, gentlemen. Have a great conversation. See you in about a half hour.
All right. Thanks. Hey, Seth, how are you, buddy?
I'm all right. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Well,
I'm glad I'll be awake. You can't see me, but here I am. So
yeah, you're still there.
I look like that guy.
Yeah, look at that guy.
Sad to say, I look like that guy in that book.
You look great on this cover. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No, I love the book. Everybody pick it up. It's on now out in paperback. I know you previously wrote another book where you went more into your early life, but I just for people tuning in, I know you had a knack for sports in high school, but when did you know that you really wanted to be a commentator and a play-by-play guy?
I was in elementary school, because in my age group, growing up in Eastern Oklahoma, we didn't have cable. I don't think cable had been invented, and certainly no satellite television had been created yet. So the volume of material that I could enjoy was limited. So you got to hear a lot of these same football guys. The voice of the Oklahoma Sooners was a soundtrack for me, because we could, we had a radio, and all their games were on television as they are now. But those guy named Mike Treps was a local guy that had he cut through the clutter in his voice, and he was big in my life. The other guys were the people like Chris Schenkel, Ray Scott, NFL guys. Ray Scott also, as do I, suffered from Bell's palsy. So Keith Jackson became a friend, and it was just I thought, as good an all-around broadcaster as there ever was. And some people will say it's Al Michaels, and gosh, I'm not going to knock out Michael's work. Keith Jackson's voice and his accent spoke to me.
Right.
So those guys, Summerall and Madden, great influences of what a team could do if you're by being seamless. So I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster, but I thought I'd always be in football.
Right.
That was kind of the goal. But then, you know, when I was in college, and I was always a wrestling fan, but when I was in college, we had a chance to join forces with a local promoter and put on a couple of benefit events in our college gym at Northeastern State in Tahlequah. So that kind of got me the bug. And then I did the second event there as a promoter. And then Cowboy Bill Watts, a lot of these folks who are listening tonight will be familiar with, was the owner of the territory with Leroy McGurk. And he said, I got a job for you when you get out of college. Well, here's a mistake I made. it became like this surreal dream. And I didn't know how to say no. And so with about one semester of college left, I decided to withdraw and take the damn job in wrestling for $125 a week, all in. You're independent contractor, no benefits, none of that stuff. So, but I always wanted the broadcasting side was always in me somehow. I was the only child. So you can imagine when I built my little ring, wrestling ring on a piece of wood, 4 nails, some baling twine, and I used my army men as the wrestlers. And
right.
I did the play-by-play. I was never busted for doing it, but I probably been, my dad probably would have had me put away. He's out there, I mean, imitating all these guys. So anyway, that was the story. I always thought that was my calling, but little did I know that it would be in wrestling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you worked as a all around type of guy when you started doing the regional wrestling matches. I mean, you even worked as a referee at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I refereed. And the reason I refereed because my $125 a week didn't go very far for a young married man.
Yeah. All right.
And so any extra work I could acquire added to the kitty. And so, you know, you'd make, you know, if you pull the ring and you haul the ring, you'd make about $100 all in, everything.
Right. Yeah.
And if you refereed, your minimum was $25, and the maximum that I made for the first year was $40 a night. And so, but if I was working 6 nights a week, I made $240, which is, you know, even I could do that math. It's better than 125.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but I did a lot of things. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn about the business in general and not be a one-trick pony. Because at that point in time, the announcing was still way out there. I didn't know if that would ever happen. So I wanted to learn all the other skills.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to ask you about this later, but I'll ask you now. I think one of the more eye-opening things that I learned from Under the Black Hat was, you know, and I'm sure I'm not alone, is that you aren't just a commentator. I mean, you worked diligently within the WWE behind the scenes to help build stars up and build the organization up, for that matter. I mean, for you, what has been one of the most fulfilling aspects of the job, aside from the commentary?
I think that my greatest contribution to wrestling, when it's all said and done, it'll probably, the most popular thing is going to be the announcing, because that was the most visible. But for me, it was helping provide an opportunity for a lot of real hungry athletes who had dreamed of this moment for their entire life and was waiting on somebody to give them that opportunity. And that's, you know, and the guys, so these guys go on to become millionaires, Hall of Famers, movie stars, all these things. And I look back at that as I'm like a proud uncle. Yeah, I just think it's great. So I enjoyed I really enjoyed the job of head of talent relations in WWE. For those that may not know what it is, it's kind of like a player personnel guy with the NFL. Here we are 2 days away from a draft as we talk here. Draft is Thursday. And last I looked, today is Tuesday. So we're a couple of days away, which I'll watch alone with no interruptions, no distractions, because I love the draft, every ounce of it.
Yeah.
And of course, here I'm here in Jacksonville now. Pardon me. We have the number 1 pick, which obviously is going to be Trevor Lawrence, quarterback.
One would think.
But they got a ton of picks in the first 3 rounds. It's going to be fun. They're going to be active, and I think that they're going to be able to come out of this thing with some immediate contributors. In other words, I think they're going to draft. They could draft three starters
Mm-hmm.
in these picks. So I'm big on that stuff. I love it. I don't know how I got to that point, but anyways, football, and I'm a football guy. So
Yeah.
But that's the deal. Under the Black Hat, Slobberknocker starts off from the very beginning with the stories like you and I are talking about now.
Right.
How'd you get interested in it? Where'd you get your first break? What was the first live match? It's a very biographical and chronological.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we decided to write, Paul O'Brien and I decided to write Under the Black Hat, all we wanted to do was pick up where we left off and make it a seamless transition from Slobberknocker to Under the Black Hat. That was the goal.
Right.
Now, the thing that we didn't plan for, Seth, was the fact that my wonderful wife got killed just as we were starting to go around the home stretch here in this book. It changed my attitude. It changed the tone and tenor. I was in a real crazy state, but what you got out of it was such raw honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had people say, you know, your book made me laugh, and toward the end, it made me cry.
Yeah.
I've had guys tell me, I ordered your book, JR, and when I got home, my wife was reading it. So he said, I just figured she'd just hand it to me. She says, you're not getting this until I'm finished. I'm reading a love story. So
Mm-hmm.
It's starting out as a pro wrestling book,
Mm-hmm.
took a life of its own to the level that, you know, there's interest right now in a movie or TV special.
Right. I mean, obviously, pro wrestling fans are a highly devoted group of people, to say the least. But I think that's what strikes me the most about Under the Black Hat was that it really is accessible to anyone who even might have just a casual interest in wrestling. I mean, it's a great example would be a documentary like Beyond the Mat, of offering people behind the scenes, no pun intended, no holds barred look
Right.
into this world. I mean, was that when you and Paul O'Brien were writing it? I mean, obviously it changed a bit when your wife passed, and condolences on that. But when you set out to write the book, I mean, was it really something that you wanted to bring to it, where it was like, I want this to be brutally honest?
Yeah, I wanted to be very honest, Seth, but I also wanted to finish the story.
Sure.
And as we were finishing the book, the story ended. We found a conclusion because I had not really, I just getting started with Tony Khan and AEW. So I was, I didn't have a lot to write about AEW. I just kind of got in town.
Right.
So we didn't have an ending that we liked. And we found one that worked famously. I just wish it had not been so severe and so real. And so that's what this book is about. It's about a story of a regular guy who allegedly had his dream job, didn't know he had his dream woman, and I didn't give her the attention and the credit that she deserved. That's me talking.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that disagree with that, but I mean, we led a great life. We rarely had an argument. She was wonderful. And my dad used to tease me that, he married this beautiful Italian. She's 5 feet tall and a former gymnast, and she's 10 years younger than you, and she can cook. Son, you did good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that was just, she was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I learned the value of relationships. I learned the value of how we should approach our significant others. And I just wish she had not left so early. And, I always figured I would be the one that went first, but it didn't work out. The good Lord had a different plan.
Right. Well, again, I my condolences to you, and as a very, you can I sense that vulnerability and that candor in this book. So you did a great job at harnessing
Thanks.
that. So congratulations to you.
Well, that's the thing about it too. If you don't have to be a pro wrestling fan to enjoy this book.
That's right.
In my point of view, and I'm glad you agree, because you're more learned and skilled in reviewing these things and absorbing what you consume. I just it's not about headlocks and hammerlocks, and this guy was really tough, and this guy was really not, and this guy was gay, and this guy was this. It's not a dirt book. It's a life story that many can identify with. A lot of people, I've learned, and I'm learning more, lose their spouse, and it's not an oddity. But how do you handle it? How do you handle the trials and tribulations that I had at work? How's a chubby guy with a Southern accent with 3 bouts of Bell's palsy supposed to make it on television?
Yeah,
it defies logic.
It does. It is it's a feel good story, and I can understand why people are interested in it for, as you said, a movie or a potential television program or something. It's a fantastic American story, rags to riches, if you will, kind of thing. Yeah. I find myself, this is a little bit more of a fun question. I find myself saying a range of JR-isms, if you will, around the house. I'll say something like, "Oh, the carnage," or I'm tougher than a $2 steak, or something to pump myself up at times. I mean, how did you come up with some of these signature sayings over the years, and are they things your parents used to say, or did you workshop them, or?
Well, they all come from different origins, and they were just created in my feeble mind, Seth. Slobberknocker is an old football term.
Sure. Yeah.
And slobberknocker was utilized more prominently when players didn't wear face masks. And so then when you get hit in the face, and that's why you see a lot of those old movies, they stereotype those football players with missing teeth and all that stuff. They didn't have face masks, so they're going to break noses and bust lips and all those things. So he hit somebody hard enough, and the saliva pours out of their mouth. That's slobber. And if you hit somebody hard enough, you get a slobber knocker. So slobber knocker just became, I hear NFL guys use it. It's funny, then people get on Twitter, everybody's on Twitter, it seems like, including me.
Yeah.
And you start getting all these tweets. Hey, JR, so-and-so just used slobber knocker. And then the next one is, do you get paid for that? They pay you a royalty? No, they don't. But I had the best answer for your question. I had 2 very colorful grandfathers. One was a brilliant man, taught me how to read when I was 4. I'm an only child, so they spent a lot of time. I got a lot of good quality time, family time. Mom and dad were still married. My grandparents are all alive. It's just great. And I didn't realize it, but it's just great. And so and the other grandpa was a little bit of he's a little rowdy. He liked his bourbon, and he was a carpenter, skilled carpenter. He could hammer nails with both hands at the same time. He's the most amazing damn thing I've ever seen. But Granddad Ross was a little bit of a maverick, and they came up with some of the damnedest things, saying, because it goes back to the old deal about two liars talking to each other, the 2 fishermen talking to each other. The first liar ain't got a chance. So if you're going to talk about how big your fish were, go last, because you can always then catch the biggest fish. So both those guys have vivid imaginations. They were both country guys, Okies, grew up hard and poor. Hell, my home in eastern Oklahoma, I was, what grade was I in? I think I was in the 6th grade or something before we got indoor plumbing. And it wasn't like I lived on Abe Lincoln here. We didn't have the money. So we had an outhouse. Humbling on a cold winter night when you got to go take care of some business. You got to get half-assed dressed and slither out to the outhouse. in the dark. It was an interesting growing up, but
Yeah.
it made me appreciate what I had.
Oh,
I thought
absolutely.
I had a transistor radio with a little plug, and I could listen to KMOX radio with Jack Buck and Harry Carey doing St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and I thought I had the world by the tail.
Yeah.
Be thankful for what you got. So I learned some of those lessons along the way.
Absolutely. Well, little did I know until I'm glad I discovered it, but you have a podcast as well, Grilling JR.
Right.
It's a kind of a double entendre there, because I know you're a grill master, and it's also a podcast where you get asked a lot of questions from your co-host. And I think between this and seeing that and the audio book for Under the Black Hat, which is great, by the way, I actually listened to some of it as well. And no one tells a story like you. You're telling these stories that are in this book. And I tell you, you might have a future in, some sort of meditative, putting people, not that you put me to sleep, but you have such a calming voice at times,
Okay.
at least for me, unless you're yelling at, ringside. But, one of the funnier stories, that you went into is you overheard about a plot to kill Vince McMahon, and you were indisposed, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, was that just about the wildest thing, or was there something, in this book that you would say, well, or made you say, well, I've seen it all?
Oh gosh, I don't think I've seen it all yet, but I'm still looking. The thing in the urinal or the stall, these promoters were I'm at a meeting with Bill Watts. We flew up there to St. Louis, or no, Kansas City, on his plane. And that was cool for me because, I was a poor country kid. I thought it was pretty neat.
Right.
Cowboy flying his airplane. That was an adventure. He was a pretty good pilot though. And these regional promoters are trying to figure out how to combat the juggernaut that was becoming the WWE.
Right.
WWF then. And, instead of thinking, well, how do we do a better job? How do we do a better job? It was, what can we do to screw him up? And I was looking at my boss, Bill Watts, who was having none of this bullshit. And he looked at me, and he was going to give the sign that we're going to be leaving soon. I don't think we even stayed for lunch. And all these promoters had flown in, and it was, a big meeting. It reminded me of that meeting that the Mafia had, the one they always talk about, where they had this meeting out in this rustic area. So anyway, I go to the bathroom. I said, well, if I'm going to fly home, I got to take care of some business here. I got to take care of a little business. So I go, excuse myself, and meander, and I go to the stall, and some in the sitting position. These guys all come in the bathroom, and I didn't put my feet up right away until I heard, well, what does it cost to get a hitman? At that point, my legs raised up, so they couldn't see into the stall that there's somebody sitting there. And so I held my legs there, and thank God they left soon. I was about to have a lot of problems. So things like that happened all the time. It's amazing. Pro wrestling's made up of characters, and bigger than life characters, like wildcatters in the oil business or something. They're risk takers. They take chances. It's just a damn society, quite frankly.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there is an element of, truth is stranger than fiction when it comes to this book. You know what I mean? It's you're reading
the book's
go ahead, sir.
Seth, the book is, there's nothing manufactured in it.
No, of course not.
It's all, and that was you asked that question earlier, and I digressed, which I just chalk up to my senility. The book, it was imperative that when Paul and I had put Slobberknocker to bed, and while I'm writing Slobberknocker, my writing partner died of a heart attack. So I'm beginning to wonder, should I even be in the damn publishing business? the writing business. This is not working out too good. But seriously, I said, we have to be honest. And if I don't know, we have to research. And I said, there's a million sound bites of me online. There's all kinds of information, photos, stories, things I've said that I forgot that we can bring back to light. So we talked twice a week. He lived in Ireland. He still does. He's a noted playwright there. He's had a lot of published work, Irish film, theater, but he grew up as a wrestling fan, just like me. And so we had that in common, and I liked him. I gravitate to chubby guys. That sounds bad, I guess, in a way. But we're kind of kindred spirits, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
We were like cousins from different continents. And so that was just a great marriage. I mean, I can see why some of these great duos, whether it be writing songs or writing books or whatever they're creating, when you have a partner, the partner that you collaborate with, how imperative that is. It is essential. Yeah. So but we had to be honest. And so I said, it may take us a little longer to write the book. We may have to do a little bit more research, but let's make sure that we do this book honestly and not try to Zoom people and screw around and all that stuff. So, and it worked out that way. It just worked out that way. And it came out during the damn COVID outbreak. So there was no book signings.
Right.
I wasn't out there in your beautiful part of the world. I would have been. I wasn't at any I wasn't anywhere, any bookstore, anywhere, because there were no signings. The doors were locked.
Right.
And a lot of places.
Absolutely.
So we've made this thing work by online marketing and word of mouth. And when people read it, they started referring it. Hey, you got to read JR's book. Man, this is the best book, And I've had guys write me that said, I don't even read books. My wife, when I bought it, my wife said, you're wasting your money. You'll never read it. He said, I read it in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. So it's good. It's got good reviews. And I love creating. And we're brainstorming about the 3rd book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, just judging by the people on the back cover giving you blurbs and the people that are on the front, and I mean it's everybody's got something nice to say about it. So including myself, it's an extremely engrossing read, and I very much enjoyed it. This is a little bit more fun question, and then we'll get to
sure.
Some of the people who are asking questions on the live stream.
Okay.
But a buddy of mine, a huge wrestling fan, wanted me to ask you, what is your favorite dish to make with your own JR's barbecue sauce, and would you recommend it as a chili-based ingredient?
Yes, the chili-based ingredient without a doubt, and so is the chipotle ketchup. It's got a life in chili and homemade chili sauce.
All right.
Well, I have the main answer is, a great steak on the grill. And I bought this condo here in Jacksonville Beach, and you can't have a grill here.
Oh,
so
man.
I've had to change my thinking. So what I've been making in my place are barbecue baked chickens. So I'm trying to eat more chicken, eat a little healthier, and then you bake it. Then I turn the broiler on it to get some little crinkle, little flavor on the skin. And on the second go around with the broiler on, I brush my barbecue sauce. So it gets a little bath in the barbecue sauce. Then it has time to cook in, and the meat stays very, very moist. It's really good. And sometimes I've done that with just chicken thighs. You bake your chicken thighs just like you would, your mom could tell you how, your neighbor could tell you how. It's not that hard if I can do it. And then you put the barbecue sauce on during the broiling process, and just keep an eye on it. You don't need to broil it for very long, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes max. So I think chicken is my go-to right now. Now, if we were talking from my home in Oklahoma, I would go to the outdoor kitchen with a big grill and cook something on the grill. There's nothing else about I don't play golf or fish or hunt. I may start someday. I don't know, but I like to cook.
Right.
And I find the grilling's good therapy for me, Seth. It takes
Yeah.
my mind off stuff, because one of the secrets of grilling is you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
You can't let your heat get too high or too low. You can't get in a hurry. You can't go back in the house and watch the rest of the game. That's why you put TVs outside.
Yeah.
So
Definitely an art to it.
Yeah, I got a big ass TV outside because I can cook. I can sit down in a comfortable chair. I don't leave my space, and I don't burn my cooking.
Well, I don't know what's going on with this condo complex in Jacksonville, but you might need to take it up with the Home Renters Association or whatever you got going there, because I don't know if they're not allowing you to grill. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's un-American.
I think you should take it up with call your congressman or something. I don't know. Okay, well, Julie, do we have any questions from anybody?
We do, and I was sitting in the background loving this conversation. By the way, it was so great. And Jim, you were so right. You were actually supposed to be here in San Diego last year when the world collapsed and shut down. So we would have loved to have had you at the store. So maybe the next book around, we'll have you hopefully in San Diego. We'll bring you around. To. And you definitely don't let any grass grow under your feet. You are a busy man.
Well, I'm trying to hit my stride, this late in life. Exactly. I got some more gas in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the main things I took away from this is the fact that the guy, I don't know when he sleeps. I really don't, sir.
Well, I'm so glad, Seth, that you brought up the grilling, because that was the one that I was like really interested in. It's like, okay, let's talk a little bit about the grilling. But so Ryan on Facebook has a question for you. So he wants to know what your thoughts on calling Bret Hart versus X-Pac on Monday Night Raw in 1994.
Well, it was a great match. I remember that match because it was so significant. X-Pac was a young up-and-comer, young kid, kind of lean, very talented, but lean, out of Minneapolis, just getting his break by actually just going on television, getting on the show. And not only to get the show, he got on the show with the best wrestler, arguably that we had in Bret the Hitman Hart, one of the very best of all time. So you go from the dugout, maybe sit on the end of the dugout, to where you're in the lineup and you're playing ball with the top guy. And the reason that happened was because Bret Hart was very sincere about helping others. He liked this kid, the passionate X-Pac, who became X-Pac, Sean Waltman. It was infectious, and he wanted to help him. And even though Sean Waltman did not win the match, he got over. People turned their heads and looked at him. So in wrestling, we say it's not a matter who goes over. It's a matter of who gets over. In this case, a guy can lose and become a made man. And that was almost to the extreme that Sean Waltman was. But it was a hell of a match. And I remember I'd only been in WWE about a year. I got there in 93. So that was in 94, but I still remember it. As crazy as it sounds.
No, when those kind of things, like they when you're watching something that's special, it kind of inbreds in your brain. Do you keep in touch with, did any of the guys keep, is your social life revolve around some of these people that you were an uncle to, like you said?
Oh, I get calls for advice. I recruited these kids. I recruited these guys when they're young. I signed them to their first contracts. I was their mentor. I was their coach. And sometimes he became a life coach, because, being married to a pro wrestler is not always easy. Travel is a monster, especially when the guys are on the road 250, 300 days a year. It's strained marriages, strained relationships, without a doubt. And so guys are always they had communication issues. And that's what we talked about. You got to learn to be a better communicator. Yeah. And when you're home, be home. Don't go on the couch and go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Be with your wife in this case.
It's so hard. That's so hard because everybody thinks traveling is so glamorous.
It is. Take my word for it.
Yeah, there's nothing glamorous about traveling.
I got about 4 million miles on American. I think 2 or 3 million on Delta. God. I've been on a lot of airplanes, and soon I'm getting ready to start flying again because I got my second COVID test shot yesterday.
You're almost baked. You're almost fully baked or fully grilled.
Yeah, I need 2 more weeks. I think they said they'd take. So, but we get tested here. I got drug test. I got COVID tested twice last week. So that's just how and you can't get into the closed set if you're not tested.
Yeah.
And that includes the crew, the cameramen, the talents, everybody.
They did it with a lot of the TV production and the movie production. They really, took a little bit, but they really got it together and really are doing things, to keep the entertainment going.
It's as safe as we can make it under the circumstances. And we're following all the CDC guidelines.
Right.
And some people are probably anti-CDC because some people are anti-everything.
Right.
Because it's just more fun to be defiant and be a dickhead than it is to be a decent human being.
Right.
Sure.
So
that's so true.
But anyway, I think I do like talking about the cooking. I like talking about it. And my podcast is doing great. It drops every Thursday. Westwood One is our Face the Tab, so I'm happy with that. And I used to, and they're there in LA, and I come out when I could travel. I would come out for the honorary lunch, or hey, JR, come out, let's go have some drinks. Okay, I'm in.
Let's go. All right, Amanda's got a question here. So Amanda's curious if you have any favorite authors or writers that you admire, and or what you like to read or listen to for fun or enlightenment.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah,
that's a heavy question.
What was the last book you read that you liked?
Besides my friend, other than mine, my friend Michael Chiavallo wrote a book. He's a broadcaster, and he's very, very good. But Michael's on the other side of the world doing his thing. He has done work in the States. But it talks about his experiences on the road and traveling and the challenges of doing kickboxing, MMA, and that he's not a pro wrestling guy, but we became buddies. We both worked for Access TV at one point in time. So super guy. So God dang, I can't remember the name of it. I almost see.
Well, who's the author? They can find it.
Michael Chiavallo, Schiavallo. Michael Chiavallo. Really, it's really a good read. And, I think Michael may have self-published it. Hell, I don't know. No. But it's really a nice read. He sent me a copy and it was good. My friend Glenn Jacobs, who's the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, better known as Kane, the evil brother of the Undertaker, who once set me on fire.
Evil, sometimes not.
Yeah, he once set me on fire. How can I like that son of a gun?
Yeah.
Thank God for the stand-in. Cut. You bet. Yeah. I'm out here. that flame's a little close to my backside. But he wrote a book called Mayor Kane, I think it is. Glenn Jacobs. Look it up.
Okay.
It's really another good read.
Perfect.
About life, not just headlocks. I love that.
That's good. Ryan wanted to thank you for answering his question about the 1994 calling. And then Benny has a question here. Does Jim think the Sooners can make it back to the college football playoffs this season?
Absolutely. We keep everybody healthy, which is a big statement to make, but we have our key components all back. Most of the offensive line is returned and with depth. And they got their quarterback back, who's been his second full year, I think. That's a key.
Yeah.
That's why all these quarterbacks are going to be drafted at the top of the first round. Quarterback's the position. Yeah. Out there where you guys live, you got a good one. Mm-hmm. Well, he's in LA, I guess, but
yeah. But
Chargers are the Chargers to me. That's
a little like
I think of the Chargers. I think of Lance Allworth.
Yeah.
So those cats.
That was back in the day.
Back in the day, exactly.
Yeah. You can't associate the Chargers really without San Diego, but it just kind of there's such a rivalry with LA that it's so hard to embrace LA.
I wouldn't want to leave San Diego traffic and trade it for LA traffic.
No.
That's true. That's
just me. It's just me.
Amanda found the book Good Night, Irene. That's it? That's it. All right.
Good
Well,
night.
I got one more question for
go
you.
ahead, Seth. Yeah. Oh, go. You go.
I got a buddy here who's asking me. His name is Josh, and he said, "What finishing move did it pain you to have to call and promote as devastating when you knew in your mind it was a pretty weak move?"
Well, there's been a lot. Don't say a lot of those. That's a hard one to answer, really. What was it? Some of these submissions that pro wrestlers try to use to emulate MMA guys, they're ill applied.
Sure.
They wouldn't work, if you had a gun to your head. But they don't know any better, some of them. So, some of those some submissions look really painful. But if you look close at what's going on, they're not. And so those are hard. He's going to give up. He's going to give up, all that stuff. So you got to add the drama, but you don't believe it.
Mm.
That's why I never liked knowing what the endings were before the show started.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who was going to win or lose. What difference does it make to me?
Right.
I called it like I would if I was going to call a Chargers game. The game progresses, you see what's going on, and you add a narrative to it.
Yeah.
That's how I work. And it's just that way you don't precondition yourself.
Right. Well, it probably keeps it more interesting for you too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for the people watching it. Yeah.
Right. You got any more, Seth? Or that's it for me on my side.
No, I think that's all I have. Well,
perfect. Seth, I'm going to start with you. If people want to find you there's one more coming in from Ryan. Who is more open to listening to your advice, young wrestlers or college students in a class setting you have interacted with in the past?
Well, I've done a lot of college lectures, including at MIT, and which was a great experience. I'd like to be able to do more of that. There's just not enough hours in the day. And my doctors keep reminding me I'm 69 years old, which I disregard. So
keep busy.
It's a number. That's all it is, and you can analyze it any way you want. But the young wrestlers will listen very closely because they know that my team at WWE signed The Rock, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, Dave Bautista, and Shelton Benjamin. And that was in one class. We hired so many guys that have gone into the Hall of Fame were hired under my team's watch. So I don't know. I'm where I was when that answer, but the young kids listen because they know that I know what I'm talking about without sounding like an egomaniac.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, I don't want to break my arm patting myself on the back. But my track record is established.
Yeah.
My legacy is established for better or for worse. And there's been some worse in there. I'm human. But they pay attention, especially if they're getting one-on-one attention. And they're especially interested if I converse with them and not confront them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear, how can you be so stupid?
Right.
How in the world could you think this is going to work? Or what were you thinking when you did this? It's irresponsible. It's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't confront them. I converse with them. And when they see that, it lessens their guard a little bit. And they're more willing to listen and participate in the communication. So it's, that's how I've always worked on it. I look at these guys like they're football players or something, and they're on the team, and I'm their coach, and I'll always be their coach.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many guys have, and I'm sure other guys have done the same thing. So I'm not just me. You guys get down on their luck. They need some money. You help them out. Do you expect to get it back? No. But that's what you do.
Right.
Coach Barry Switzer, used to be a great coach at Oklahoma back in the day, told me one time over 3 fingers of Crown Royal that you recruit players for life. Some at his house, and he's answering his phone like one after the other. This guy needs a bed. this guy needs his car got impounded. He's sending money out like it's a Western Union office. I said, man, don't that ever get old? He said, of course it does. But you recruit them for life, and they expect you to be there to help them. And I've always taken that with me. Somebody calls and they need something, I try to help them out.
Well, it goes to that mentality of that uncle kind of aspect. It's not just an employee or something. It's a familial.
Well, they're family to me.
Right.
It's just a great, big, old, crazy, dysfunctional, extended family.
Right.
And I love them for that.
Yeah.
Because I know that, when my wife got killed in March of 17, they phoned, this was way after midnight Central Time. I got a call at about 4 because it was on Twitter from The Rock, was in Bulgaria or somewhere shooting a movie. And, we've been great friends since the day I hired him. And then Stone Cold called, Vince McMahon called. The phone just was going crazy to the point I had to turn it off because it was just becoming extremely disruptive and upsetting.
Right.
People call crying.
Right.
God almighty, man, I've cried out.
Yeah.
You gotta let me up here a little while.
Yeah.
So out of that, those emotions came the finish of this book, Under the Black Hat. So it's real, and it's you can, if you have lost a loved one, you understand the grief and how I got through the grief. And look, you grieve every day, but it lessens a little bit. You learn when to tap or when to walk away, and it's a matter of picking your ass up and moving forward.
Yeah.
And then, but you still got these triggers, like my wife and I went to a ton of Eagles concerts. That was our band. And every now and then, man, I'm driving down the road minding my own business, and an Eagles song will come on the radio, and I'll just start crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look around and you want to make sure hopefully I always take my hat off so I don't want to be recognized. And that wrestling guys are crying. Something's wrong. So I kind of try to keep that under the covers, but that happens. So you can't get away from those triggers. And another mistake I made was, I wasn't prepared to start dating again at my age, and it's not been easy. It's almost been comical. It really has, man. I don't think that I haven't thought about, a philosophy book and talking about with Paul, right? A funny, humorous on life's problems that sometimes are not as big as we perceive them to be, Yeah. But a guy my age dating is, because everybody's got a Zoom link. They're on some kind of website. I noticed that the women that are in my age group are very aggressive. Yeah. They get a fish on the hook. They want that thing in the boat, man.
All right.
That's fantastic.
So, but so it's all growing. The mistake I made early on was quite simply trying to replace Jan, my late wife, with another lady. There's no replacing.
Yeah.
You can get a stand-in.
Right.
You can let somebody build their own body of work, so to speak, but there's no replacing.
No.
Right.
So it's a bittersweet story.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will be when people read it, they'll say, I'm really glad I bought this book, and now that's out in paperback. It don't cost nothing to ship. It's very inexpensive, and I appreciate it.
Yep.
My grandchildren will appreciate it.
Yeah.
They're getting all the money.
Exactly.
And then next time I'm flying, guys, I'm flying to Oklahoma in the middle of May to go to my oldest granddaughter's high school graduation.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing my hat. It's not about grandpas.
I think I speak for everyone when I say I'm looking forward to the dating guide. From Cross.
That's gonna be either the pod. Keep it going on the podcast. Something we got to know.
I'll keep you updated as best I can in a gentlemanly manner.
I like that. Course. I love that. I love the aggressive on a hook though. That was fantastic.
They're serious. Some of them are serious now. I'm telling you.
Hey, they feel time's ticking, man. Let's go.
Yeah. John Wayne would say we're burning daylight here.
Yeah, we gotta let's go. Fisher cut bait, like they say, right?
That's right.
Anthony, just real quick, wants to know what your favorite beer or liquor is.
Oh, let's see. There's a Crown Royal that is it's $170 a bottle. It's got some initials on it. Conrad Thompson, my podcast partner, business partner, got me a bottle to recruit me to come out to the middle of nowhere and record a show with he and our two of our other podcasters, a round table. It's airing now. It's called After Hours on the Ad Free Network. I'm told it's funnier than hell. I haven't watched it yet. I watched clips, but it's people, for some reason, guys, people believe on that show that I was drinking. And so you could watch it and you be the judge, but I did hear it's pretty funny. So I guess another sidetrack deal, but in any event.
Yep. Well, there we go. All right. We've run out of time. JR, you've spent, I'm so glad you came to us virtually. We would love to have had you. Seth, for people who want to find out more, you're pretty active on Twitter, aren't you, Seth?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the social medias. They can also, I write about books a lot for the San Diego Union Tribune. So they can just go on that website and find my byline. And yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. Such an honor to talk to you. And I really appreciate your time, sir.
You bet, Seth. Enjoyed chatting with you. It's like just two old buddies shooting the breeze. I like it.
Yeah, it really was. Thank you.
It was
good.
It was a great conversation. And then Jim, for you, you've got a great website. It's JR's Barbecue.
JR'sBBQ.com is where you can buy my sauces.
Yep.
Ketchup, mustard. I got jalapeno honey mustard, chipotle ketchup, my mother's original barbecue sauce recipe, and a hot barbecue sauce. We sell beef jerky, and we sell seasoning. We are out of some things right now because the rush has been amazing. And then we're finding out, of course, you know the reason, COVID. COVID's the reason for everything that's screwed up. That's the excuse everybody uses. Exactly. COVID. You know, I forgot to bring your water to you when you asked for it. But you know, my grandfather had COVID. Okay, honey. You notice that the screen's getting lighter?
I know.
Fair enough.
There.
What happened?
What happened? Oh,
let there be light.
Let there
Let's
be
just
light.
start all over and do it again. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Rewind.
And so I got that's working, and the podcast, as I said, is Westwood One. It drops every Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm on Twitter at JRSBBQ.
Perfect.
I don't know what else. I feel like a snake oil salesman.
I know, I like it, but people want to be able to find you and see what's going on more.
Check out my website and just look at all the good things we have to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can personally testify that the Chipotle ketchup is, I tried JR's Chipotle ketchup and then didn't order again, tried a different company that shall remain nameless, and his is 1,000 times better. You get the original one, the real deal.
You get Jim, you get JR's, right? Well, gentlemen, I'm going to take us off of Facebook. Don't go away quite yet. We'll chat the green room for a second after with this, but Facebook and YouTube, thank you for watching. Don't forget to click on the link to buy JR's book. It is fantastic. And Seth and Jim, thank you again.
Thanks everybody. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. Enjoyed it.